So here I am. My name is Warwick. I work for a company called elections.com. Anthony Morton is my deputy in my office, who is the official deputy election officer. But we've got a few of the crew at the council, Barbara and Amanda and Shield, who are looking after nuts and bolts on the ground. Thank you, on. We've got what, 12 people here, I believe, maybe. We had 9 at Carlton last night. Part of those 9, 2 people were from South Warwick. It's good. Marston, Toronto, and then I've got one at Dannyburg on Saturday morning. On number 7 of 33 presentations I'm doing over the next little while. So this is what I do and who I work for. We do lots of elections all the time. Got about 45 on the go at the moment. 6 regional councils and 39 district councils that I'm electoral officer for. I've been around the block. Doing this since 1986, well, 36 years ago, so what that made me old. So as a result, I've dealt with lots of candidates. We've got a pretty good bullshit radar. Deal with a lot of people. So when you're dealing with me, I want to be straight up. Little playing field, straight back. That's how I operate. I'm a bit old school. I'm not very PC. My language is pretty colloquial. I don't take any crap. If you get offended by what I might say or any jokes I might have, then too bad. Concrete pill would be important. I try and keep it entertaining, but some of the stuff is a bit dry. We're going to talk about 50 slides about what it means to be an elected member. What have I done wrong with this slide? Same photo twice. No chocolate fish too, anyway. Righto. So, being an elected member, those of you who are elected member will know the next few slides, but it's pretty complex business. Lots of legislation. No dramas, though. It's part and parcel of democracy and a council operation. These are all the things that the council does. So big picture, governance versus management. Those things you've got to focus on. These are pretty complex. And it is a big deal. What we don't want is for you to turn up the first council meeting and go, oh, I didn't realise that's how much time was involved, how much work was involved. It is a big deal. It's not a 5-minute job. You really are the eyes and ears of the district, there to represent the community and input into how things happen going forward. In the Canada handbook's down the back, nomination papers down the back. Make sure you read it. Most of you got that. It's great. There's a whole section about that stuff there. So these are the key things that elected members do. Remembering that council running employees, CE is responsible for the rest of the staff. So it's the only appointment that the members will make if the CE changes, and you go from there. All about monitoring performance, setting direction, doing the strategy, and eyes and ears. So, for an elected member, what do you need to do? What do you need to have? People skills, key thing, listening, talking to the community, hearing people's views, sitting at the table determining where things are going to go. If you haven't, a lot of people, a lot of public speaking skills, you soon will once you're on the council. There's lots of opportunity to talk, one person around the table, got to convince all your other elected members of the way you think you want to go. Going to events, representing council. I think it's still handy, but certainly. Councillors think district-wide, so not just there to represent patch, there to represent the whole district, make decisions on the basis of everyone, not just your ward. And at the beginning of each council, the council will determine code of conduct as to how elected members interact with each other. Every council does that right at the beginning of each term. Any questions about those things?
I'd just like to say something about the code of conduct because it's quite for everyone. For those people that don't know me, I'm Amanda Brady. Apologies about the technology issues. I'm a GM of policy and governance. So elected members have the most contact with me and my team, probably. We're the kind of go-to experts in any kind of decision-making processes. The code of conduct, at the moment, there's some work being done by Taitūara, which is the body that supports staff, and LGNZ, which is the body that supports elected members, to look at a standardised code of conduct, so everyone's pretty much got the same kind of approach to codes of conduct across the country. That's something we haven't had consistency before, and it's been quite difficult to manage because obviously if you have different roles in different places, there's a bit of lack of clarity for people. So it's really important that it's trying to standardise some of those things about what's the expected behaviour of elected members. So just a bit about where we're actually in the space of codes of conduct.
So this is the key slide. Not to remember this slide is the one I want you to take close notice of. Basically, meeting week. Selected member. Mayor's pretty much full-time job, councillors 25 hours a week during annual plan time. April, May each year, maybe 40 hours a week. Some weeks not so much, but some weeks a lot. So quite hard to do around another job. If you've got some flexibility, no problem. Got plenty of time, it's okay. But tricky to do if you've got something else on the go. Lots of reading reports and agendas. Council agendas can sometimes be a couple hundred pages, 2 or 3 hours to read. Amanda, are they mostly hard copy or are they electronic?
We're trying to move towards electronic more and more. We use a platform called Stella that our elected members get a login to, and it puts all our papers in an electronic form. If you want hard copies, we can print off and send you all hard copies. We're doing our bit to save the planet. We don't want to print paper that isn't necessary if we don't need to. So at the moment we've got a bit of a mix, and we kind of meet elected members' needs.
Do elected members get a laptop from the council?
Good question.
I think
No. Before I wasn't here when that happened, but
Communication skills, yeah.
So on Stella, I've been using the program before, I don't know if anyone else is aware of it. Is there opportunity to highlight in one tape you do that you do on a hard copy? Yes, there is. Yeah. And you can bookmark things as well.
Yeah.
Since we've got a few elected members here, quick question, how many hours do you think it takes a week? Do you agree with what I've said?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a little, depending on the number of meetings you're on, it can be a 40-hour job.
Thanks, Ben. Okay,
20 would be the average.
and you'd agree with that? Flexible working hours? Weekend stuff?
Yeah, it is a big commitment. You're right.
Okay. All right, I was right to say, big slide. Okay. And that's the remuneration as it is at the moment. There's
less tax,
sorry,
less tax.
less tax, yeah.
Like my salary is about 12,000 a year, and here, 11,500 or something around here.
So
I
what's
think
that?
it works out to about 50 cents an hour. Oh, I'm just putting that in the mix, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so as an actual officer, this is what I do, as I said, I've been around a long time, dealing with lots of councils, same things I say tonight, same things I say on my council, same deal. But every council is different. Every council's got different hoardings policies. Just like the issues I'm having with Mr. Eagle with Wellington, which I'll talk about a bit later. But one thing I'm not responsible for is what you might say in the political world, or what candidates might say about each other on Facebook. I don't. What happens on social media is outside my sphere of care. Someone calls you nasty names, I don't know about it, not my fault. Campaigning, there's really no rules, you can say and do pretty much whatever you want. All I'm worried about is the nuts and bolts of the election, that it provides level playing field. I'm pretty good at this swipey thing, am I? These are the key dates. So nominations open next week, close 12 noon, 12th of August, not 12:01. I'll talk a bit about that in a minute. Signs can go up 2 months prior. So Saturday, 13th of August. I deal with 39 councils, the ordinance policies different, some are 3 months, some are 2 months, some are 6 weeks, some are 4 weeks. All over the shop. Here's what it is. Some signs come down the day before election day, sometimes some signs come down the day after. Yours the day after. No dramas, this is what it is. So these are the things that you can stand for here. You guys know that list. Mayor, council, committee boards. And then trust lands trust, and then of course the regional council. Can't stand for regional council and the council at the same time, but can stand in any of those elections. You can stand for the mayor and the council and the committee board, $200 at a time. Okay. And the trust lands trust. And the order of candidates' names on all the voting documents is random, printed on the fly, every voting paper. So I said before, nomination period starts next week, closes 12 o'clock on a Friday. Please don't put your nominations in at the last minute. If you do, bring it to us on Friday, something's wrong. Nominator's not on the roll, some details not quite correct. If you haven't got time to get it fixed by midday, too late. Not a valid nomination. So take your time to get it right. You've got 4 weeks. Please don't leave it till the last minute. We want all those documents together. Nomination paper, candidate profile, photo, evidence of New Zealand citizenship, $200. Can do it all electronically. About 75–80% of candidates do it by scanning an email. Okay. Keen on that. Don't have to bring it to the council office. Pay your deposit online. We just want to see the transaction receipt. Turn it to PDF in the online banking system, or take a screenshot and attach it to your email. Electronic, dead keen on that. But you can come into the office and do it if you want to. do you want to see evidence of New Zealand citizenship? Passport, birth certificate, citizenship, letter, DIO. Because you've got to be New Zealand citizen to be.
You said if you bring in the last day of the morning and check it in its role, you're back out, what's the turnaround for it online? Like if you got it wrong, someone's going to say you did it right.
Good question, same risk. If you send it in by email, the council team will check that as soon as they can. And if there's something wrong, come back to you. But if you don't take enough time to do that, then
What would you recommend?
I would recommend, if you send it in online, and this is the risk of online, is it's really quite easy sometimes to type the email address not quite correct. In which case, the council doesn't get it. You don't know who you've got. So, my view is that if you send it in by email, then depending on time period, but if you haven't heard within 24 hours,
Ring.
So you get a notification that's been received.
Since you're our person who get most of these, what are the common mistakes that people make?
The common mistakes, too many words in their profile
which I'll come to in a minute.
is the main one, and
Okay,
not checking first that the people nominating them on the electoral roll.
yeah. So that's a common mistake of nomination documents, is that nomination second that not on the roll or change addresses or the unpublished roll. And if you don't get enough time to get that fixed, then that's when we'll turn the case. Nomination papers, we're changing this year so that it's one nomination paper for the council. And you get to tick which board you want to go, rather than having a separate nomination paper for each one, which makes it a bit easier to process. But the key thing is, make sure you tick the right box. Whatever you tick is where you'll be, but if that's not where you want to be, make sure you get it right.
I guess the big thing is that we're here to help.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you've got a question, ring and ask us, or email and ask us, and we'll do our best to get that to you.
Yeah, that's the key point of this. You know, we are here to make it as easy as possible for you guys to be candidates. The business of making good customer service, we want you as a candidate, so let's do what it takes to make that happen. But you know, you do your part to make sure that you well organise all those docs and you've got them ahead of time rather than scrambling class and of course common sense stuff. Quite often in elections, common sense gets out of the window. But you can commonly use name on the voting paper. Edward, Ted. I've got a candidate in Rupai whose nickname is Rabbit. So he has Rabbit on the voting paper. That's everybody knows it. That's what you're known by. No problem. But no titles, no degrees, no anything. Can have an affiliation. I'll show you an example of this. Affiliations are like, basically these days, like it's slogan, headline. Independent. I'll show you some examples. Can't be too long, confusing, or offensive, and I'm the judge of that. I'll show you these in a minute. So with your nomination paper, you have to state if you're standing in another election. So if you're standing for the mayor and for the ward, then on each one, you've got to say if you're standing in the other. You can stand, I think last time we had a guy who stood in Melbourne for each of the three councils. $200 at a time, and each one said he's standing in the others. It's printed at the top of the profile statement so that everybody can see, transparency, can see what everyone's doing. And at the same time, you have to state if you're living in the area in which you stand. Don't have to be somewhere else. Like that, master, let's do it this way. Let's say that. If you live in Portland, stand here, no problem. Just have to state that you live in the area or not. Greater Wellington, new nominations to Wellington. So there's voting paper a few years ago. The only reason I've got it up is because of these candidate affiliations. So here's the format of the name, surname, first name, and then underneath it, the affiliation. And some of these are quite interesting. More democracy, less bureaucracy. Independent, blank, nothing. Experience, positive leadership. Real change in TCC, guaranteed. Didn't happen. A lot of other reasons. You pretty much have whatever you want. You can have Labour Party, National, New Zealand First. If you do have a political party, you need to have a letter from the political party endorses you as a candidate, and we need to see that. But anything else, no problem. Okay.
Yeah, can you just see if that chat is, we can't see it on the, if you hit that chat,
Hang on.
yeah?
Think it's pretty
Yes.
awful.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh,
Oh, something. Yes, very good. You want to get rid of that? All right, so
It's on Shield.
as you can see, so tagline maximum of 38 characters. Oh, 38 is quite a lot. 38. Okay, any questions about that? There's nomination paper on the table over there. The second side of the nomination paper, here's the section that's got the bank account details where we want you to pay things to and put the right details in there so that the council can find it. And where we email it to. Remember that on the nomination paper is a public document. Anyone can go and look at it. The contact details you put on there are in the public domain. After the closed nominations, we produce a candidate contact list on council's website. So anyone can contact you. So just remember that when you're talking to the nominator and seconder, make sure you tell them their details are going to be in the public domain. As nominations come in, we update that to a web page so that anybody can see at the end of each day how many nominations there are. Amanda?
I've got a question I'm a bit unsure about because the legislation has just changed to allow people to use a PO box or a lawyer. All right. Does that go on this form? Their address?
No.
Okay.
So, as I said before, we got the citizens, could be on the parliamentary role somewhere in the country. Nominating seconder got to be in the area that you're standing. So if you're standing in Martinborough Ward, nominating seconder got to be on the roll in the ward. Standing for the mayor, it's got to be on the roll in the district. Okay. Can't stand for regional council and South Ryde at the same time.
Or,
Yep.
sorry to interrupt again. Just a question on the last slide. So you said that nightly the nominations get updated. Hypothetically, if you were thinking about standing for mayor, but if someone got nominated that you were happy to have as mayor, how would you go about it? Like, could you just get pre-approved for that and then withdraw before the end of?
Yeah, come to that.
Okay.
If you've got a contract with council, so your shareholder or regular company has a contract with council for more than 25K a year, you have to get prior approval from the auditor office to be a candidate. Can't be retrospective after you get elected, it has to be before then. The whole lot of details about that on the OAG website, the Office of the Auditor General website. So if you think you're in that scenario, you're not sure about it, come and have a look at their website, check it out, contact them, they'll sort it out for you. Got to do it before nominations close.
if anyone has any questions, I can help with that as well.
Yeah, Amanda's a bit of a guru on this, so.
Oh, I love conflicts of interest.
So Ken,
Sorry.
Yeah.
So when you say an interest in the contract over 25K, that's
Yeah.
this council, not other councils. just
Correct.
this council.
the council that you're standing for. Doesn't matter if it's another council.
I think it's worth noting as well that if you then, during your electoral period, during the training, get a contract, there's a whole process around that as
Well,
well.
yeah, that's a good question. This stuff's all changed. There's a mind of this, but. Correct me if I'm wrong, once you're elected, you do now have to declare your conflicts with council and other councils or your contracts. So you do have to be transparent about
You
it.
and your partner.
Yeah.
So it's not just you, it's your partner as well.
This is new, so it hasn't been the case.
Is this not to student auditors?
I'm not very PC, so I couldn't possibly. If you're a council employee and you get elected, you have to resign for the mayor and the ward, but not community board. So, you make the question, can you withdraw? No, not after the close of nominations. So, yes, if you put in your nomination during nomination period, and you see on the council website who the candidates are, and you go, no, it's okay, that person might be me. I'll pull out, no problem. You just have to do it before nominations close on that day.
Get 200 bucks back.
Yep, that was It's a totally vaccinated, no worries. But after the close of nominations, no, you can't change your mind. Can withdraw for medical incapacity. We did have that course last time here with one lady who had a stroke just on the nomination time. Does happen, but you got to get a certificate from your medical team to say that you would be incapable of carrying out the role that you were. Can be done by, family member or an agent, provided they've got authority. So, the profile statement, as Raj said before, common mistake is more than 150 words. Yeah, we are aiming about 150 words, not 131. Count them precisely. 150 in English, and you can have 150 in Malay. Translations, the player has to be substantially the same. Can't be talking about something. 150 words about you and what you're standing for, not about someone else, not about the council CD, not about the council that you're slated on. About you and what you're standing for and why. But I don't check the details that you put in your 150 words. You tell Porkies about qualifications or things you've got, so easy, not my problem. Someone like will mention that, end up on the front page of the paper, probably won't go to. Does happen. So, stick to the facts. We want it electronically, so in a Word doc or typed into the body of the email, when you send it to Bart. Please don't do it as a handwritten one, because if we do it, we've got to retype it. Really easy to cock up retyping someone's profile. It's happened a few times before. Best endeavours, no guarantees. If you want to get it right, make sure it's electronic. If you give us something that's more than 150 words, if it's now a few words over, I'll go and do the I am to I have to I. So far out the East Coast DC, that's stuff to get it under the 150. If I can't do that, I can't get under 150, we'll send it back to you, give you 24 hours to turn around and give us. Okay. Questions about that? Photos. Colour photo, you can shoulder shot, passport size. Take it on your iPhone. 300 dpi, dots per inch, which is what most phones take now. No hats, no dark sunglasses, no pets, no other people, no parrots on your shoulder. Nothing stupid. Yeah,
Or just in terms of the 150 words, does that include your name?
No.
No, I don't
so it
think.
doesn't include your name,
No,
doesn't include the bit about I'm standing out elections, doesn't include the bit about my principal place of residence is in the area.
okay.
None of that stuff, it's just 150 words about.
You're from.
Okay, I'll show you an example short. Here's a kind of photos. Colour, please. Don't rip off a photo off a Facebook page. You send that to us, 72 DPI. You can, but when we print it, it look like a fuzzy bear. It's all pixelated. You won't want that. We won't want that. If we get one of those, I'll come back and say, no, give me one. Within the last 12 months, not 3 years ago, not the one from last time, within the last 12 months. Easier just to put it in the phone, and then take it. Can't get it professionally done, no problem, within the last 12 months. If it's not a reasonable likeness, Mark will tell me, and we'll be having a chat about it. You'd be surprised at people that will try and send me a photo from many years ago and argue. Tooth and nail that it still looks like it. It doesn't. If it doesn't, I don't have to accept it. I will come back to you and say that it doesn't.
Does it have to have a plain background or, like, like a passport with this white background or is it all right?
No, but if you got some bright colours in the background, I'll show you. So best to take it against a plain background. Photos are a bit of a mission. Take your time to get it right. Seems the way to go. Electronic's the way to go. But you can give us a hard copy one. We'll scan it and crop it, do what we need to do. But better if you just take one. You can use whatever photo you like in your campaigning material, in your signs. You can use photos from years ago, you can Photoshop them as much as you like. It's only the one that we use for your candidate profile statement that we want within the last 12 months. Okay. And there's a good example. So here's what the profile will look like. Surname, my wonderful affiliation, proven, dedicated, real, just like me. My principal place of residence is in the area, and I'm also standing in another election. If I wasn't standing in another election, that bit wouldn't be there. And then start the 150 words.
Oh, we look forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. DLE size booklet, so you know, little booklet goes in a normal size envelope, 200 page. See that one, campaigning. Pretty much you can do whatever you like. Few things to think about. Can't use council resources, council colours, council logo, photos of the council building, photos of you standing outside the council building in your campaign. No electioneering campaigning in the council chambers. So you can't come along to the council meeting, sit in the back row, and as the mayor gets up to talk, stand up and wave out a sign, going, woo, vote for me. Nor can an elected member come in wearing a vote for me t-shirt or a cap. Or have a balloon that suddenly pops up behind us and says vote for me. No. Council resource can't use council premises for electioneering. Simple reason, meetings are live streamed, like this one, goes out to council social media audience, not your social media audience, council social media. Can't use that to gain some advantage. That make sense?
Brenda's got a question.
Someone might be,
Brenda?
Hey Warwick, with the electioneering, is it not correct that you actually have to make a call to action?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so it has to be blatantly obvious.
Yes and no. So what Brenda's saying is, what is campaign? And the words I use, as she said, is a call to action. Vote for me. I'm a rock star, vote for me. But once the campaign period starts, it's a bit shades of grey, that stuff. Signs go up. You don't have to say vote for me, but it's got a sign as a sign. It's what engineering campaigning. Any campaigning material, every piece of campaigning material has to have authorization. The man that mentioned before, the rules have changed on this in the last week. It used to be authorized by
someone's address.
an address, physical address. Now not, can be mobile, email, private bag, billboards. Get around all that privacy stuff, but you know, it's all big drama at the moment about sheriffs and all that. Stuff in the, changed. It's to July. It's got to be on every piece of campaigning material. Doesn't matter sign how big or small it can be a stipulation on the corner of the sign, down here. Just as long as when I get out of my car, on the sign, can I see the authorization? Not like a certain Wellington City Council candidate with a massive, great big electronic billboard. It's just got a few dots on the bottom that looks like an authorization. That's not. No, it's not. It has to say authorized by candidate and your contact details.
Is that for hats and t-shirts too?
Yep. Every piece of campaign material. Balloons, graphic banner pulled behind it, plane in the sky.
So what with the address, some changes in legislation there. My address is Featherstone, I've got a road address. So if I put RD1 Featherstone, that would be a suitable address.
We don't have to put the address, we'll just put.
So just put your name, authorised by Commonwealth.
This does have to have some form of contact. Mobile number,
So mobile phone numbers, etc.
email.
Yep.
You can put your road name.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be your exact physical address anymore. It's great. We've been asking for it for ages. Remember, when you're doing any advertising, any advertising, subject to the advertising standards authority guidelines about factual correctness, they have a process in place for dealing with stuff. So someone might tell you quick. So just make sure you get your facts right in your advertising.
But aren't you listed on the electoral with your address anyway, so it's kind of a waste of time?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, you're right. But for someone to get your address off the electoral roll, they have to take some action to do that. Come and have a look. It's not plastered in the public domain. They've got to come and look at the document. So, sort of difference. Sort of.
I mean, everyone's addresses are pretty, you know, if you want to know where someone's address is, you can usually find out. It's just offering a layer of.
A ceiling, it's like protection.
Yeah.
It's a, yeah.
Yes, but take like I'm on the unpublished electoral roll, so it's very difficult for someone to find my address because I don't want to be there. Because, frankly, I'm giving candidates election results, quite often candidates don't like the result of it, get me grumpy. Or the media chase me all the time. You know, like, do I want to be found? No, not really. As a candidate, you can redact some of your contact details, if you don't want them in the public domain on the nomination paper. You can tell us, don't put your email address if you want, we'll then take it off the candidate contact list. But of course, you know, being a candidate, you probably do want people to be able to contact you and ask you stuff about what you're standing for, or about to get hold of them. So it's 22. Council social media channels can't be used for campaigning, monitored, or made in their team. Any electioneering comments? Is that someone continued to spam council's social media channels over the block? Like council yesterday, we blocked 3 people for that sort of activity. Elsewhere. Does happen. Anything goes to social media. The candidate last time, Tobonga created spoof Facebook pages with the other candidates and put comments on them, making those candidates look like idiots. Stupid comments. Not illegal. I think it's pretty dodge. I did, but I've got lots of complaints. Couldn't do anything about it. Got legal advice, not really legal. So those candidates who are effectively in the media, plus all over the media, front page stuff. The candidate had some reactions. So he then created a total on our city council elections page, as if it was for me. The comments on it, as if they were for me. It's taken off candidates. This is what it is. Does happen. Can't do anything about it, just have to ignore it. But the front page. Those sorts of things do happen. Don't be surprised if another candidate creates spoof Facebook pages of candidates. You can take council's posts, social media world, you can take council's posts, send them out to your audience, no problems at all. Send them out with campaign comments. You want to. I just don't want you to reply back to council's channel in any way. When you like it, rate it, review it. Even if it ends up on the council social media channel, because it's council social media channel, not your social media channel. Any questions about that? Bit of a minefield, the social media.
Or just a quick question, as sitting councillors, we have a council email address.
Yeah.
Obviously the mayor says and councillors have theirs as well. We have to be very conscious of who we send out and the reply to emails, etc. In our account as councillors.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So yeah, we talk about this in our elected member protocol sessions around the country, but I do to incumbents say that not to use your council email address for campaign purposes or sending campaign material to your friends from your council email address. No, send it from your personal email address, please. Not the end of the world, but yeah, it's level playing field because someone who's not elected member doesn't have that opportunity. So these are things that I don't want you to do on the council's Facebook channels. And once you've got your voting paper at home during the voting period, you tick the box. Please don't take a photo of it with your phone and post it on your Facebook page because that is against the legislation. It's illegal to post a photo of your completed voting paper on Facebook. Some people will do this, and I'll be pretty quickly give them a call. Against the legislation. Okay. Science, my favourite topic. Still don't want me. Well, I've been all over the media about it, trying to avoid being in the media about it. So before you ask, what's the story of the Wellington? So Mr. Eagles puts some electronic billboards up. What it said that on the face of it, is against council's policy for having election boardings up already. There's signs, their boardings can't go up until 27th of August, somebody was. But the policy is 16 years old. It was written before electronic billboards were a thing. So it doesn't specifically mention electronic billboards, it just says billboards. Meaning static billboards on the side of the road with bits of wood holding them up. Not electronic ones. So he's argued legally that I don't have jurisdiction over an electronic billboard on the side of the building because it's not a hoarding, it's not a sign held up by bits of wood. And it's probably right. There's enough holes in the policy that I can't enforce it. So I asked him very politely, Mr. Eagle, could you please take the sign down because everybody doesn't want to be bombarded by it and we've had lots of complaints. And he said, no, I'm not going. He then doubled down by sending me a lawyer's letter, and then tripled down by sending me my response, a lawyer's letter, which was the same as what I just said. So, no, he isn't taking the signs down. Is it against the rules? Not really, not enforceable. Does council have to look at their rules? Yes. They're going to have to look at it, put it in the dish, whatever. Every council's hoardings policy is different. Some councils have electronic billboards, some don't. Okay, so not seeing any questions about that? NZTA are really amiable about signs on state highways. They have a no prisoners approach. If you put a sign up that's outside their rules, they'll take it down and ask questions about it. So make sure you read the policy and the guidelines on the handbook and don't put up in the first place. Remembering that the cost of the wood holding up your static billboard sign in the appropriate place is not an election expense. So if I was being facetious, I'd say don't script and save on the wood that you put to hold up your sign with some crappy wood that makes the sign blow over in the wind. Take the time to put some decent wood on it. Say so. But it's your call because the cost of that is not part of your campaign expenditure. Coming to this soon, you have to record all of your campaign expenditure for the 3 months of the election period, 8th July, 8th of October. Record campaign expenditure. Any questions about signs before we move on? Great, let's get away from signs. So, expenses, donations here. So you can receive donations for your campaign at any time. You just have to declare it. You've got a donation last year. If you want to, provided it's for your campaign, you have to record it. Can't be an anonymous donation unless it absolutely is anonymous. Someone says to you, yes, $1,000, but I don't want anybody to know it's anonymous. It's not. If you know who it is, or you can reasonably work it out, you've got to record it. Elkin.com to John Pank's trip. Means $25,000 anonymous donation? It's not. Could you get an anonymous donation? Could you? How could you get it? In the mail?
$100 in your mailbox.
Maybe $100 in a white envelope in the mailbox that says $100 for your campaign?
Yeah.
Sure. If you can't work it out, where it's come from.
The camera on the front of your gate, it records everyone that goes past.
That's right. That's right.
Some people might hear that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's really hard to do. And if it's over $1,500, you've got to get the balance to the council. Like that. So really, anonymous donation, pretty much gone weeks. Anybody's going to come around putting $100 in people's letterboxes. GoFundMe, ReachMe, give a little of those guys, they don't comply with the legislation around declaration of who it is, and they don't provide those services. Okay. Even if you're doing a raffle or movie night, technically you should record who's bought those tickets. And so therefore you should tell them before they buy those tickets, their name is going to be in the public domain. Because it's donations return, expense return, goes on council's website for 7 years. Anyone probably. Thing about it is with a donation, you don't have to accept a donation. If you do receive a donation, you have to record it. On a public record. There's been many legal members who've been caught out in recent times by receiving an innocuous donation from someone. It's turned out to be a property developer. They've received a donation, recorded in their donations return in the public domain, and items come to council from that person about something. They have a conflict, therefore they haven't been able to partake in the discussion around the council table of that item. So be careful about who you receive donation from. Could they come and bite you on the butt later? Maybe. Think about it. Okay. Once again, talk to Amanda, she's the expert on this stuff. She'll help you out.
I'll look it up.
She'll look it up. So these are the maximum amounts that you can spend on your campaign in each area, based on the population of the area that you're standing in, including GST. Remember, public record, people will check it. If someone believes you've missed something, they can make a complaint to me. If it's in writing, I have to pass it to the police will come. So please, just be transparent. Personally, I don't care. Speech to you, I'm not even going to vote. I'm just going to take it to the council government website. I don't need the receipts. It's your documents. You just got to be transparent about it.
It's a hanging with a lot of money for Greater Wellington, but you know, Greater Wellington is one hanging, but that's only in the South Wairarapa, that Greater Wellington one, isn't it?
That's
Oh, sorry, the Wairarapa.
only in the Wairarapa, yes.
Yeah, so the candidate can spend $30,000 on, yeah.
In Wellington, it's semi-thousand.
Oh, was that?
It's population.
Population based. So we've covered most of this already, so let's see. 8th of July, 8th of October. It's not about when you pay for something, it's about when the activity occurs. So if the activity occurs during the 3 months, you have to record that. If you put full page colour, wonderful ad in the Wairarapa Times on 7th of July, outside of 3 months, not part of the campaign. Because the Wairarapa Times is the daily life cycle of 1 day. Another way to release. If it was a weekly, sure, we'll go over into a period, get the program. If you build a website and the website's for 4 months, which period for 3 months, 3 months and 4 months, cost, get program. Okay? Make sense? Few things about fences. You can meet someone for a coffee in the local cafe and shut them coffee. The moment you say, chat this coffee, if you vote for me, it's free. Now go to the pub, chat and mates around, drinks and say, if you vote for me, I'll pay it. No, he's here. If you do, we'll hear about it. Because people are a country with $2. Thinking about what happened in COVID. We hear about this and we'll give you a call and have a chat. So please don't shout your mates drink and say, if you vote for me. Same as giving away a pen or a pad or a fridge magnet or something old value. Can't do that, that's right.
Did you sell it?
Sell it and raise money.
It's a report.
You have to declare who's give them the money, yeah. Within reason.
So you can do the pins, I would say, and put your name on, give them away, I would say, I want to give it to everybody. It's all right just to give them away like a campaign.
Because there's an implied
Right.
intention, people should vote for you by receiving. Yeah, whatever it's painful, but it is what it is. Any formal complaint, straight to the police, they'll deal with it. You can have a campaign meeting, a place like this, well, actually not a place like this, it's council resource, but you have a campaign meeting in it, few people come along and listen to how wonderful you are. Give them 10 bickies afterwards, sure, no, I can't see it's true.
If you booked this venue like a normal person and paid your booking fee, could you still use the council hall venue?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
you
right, but yeah, if it's commercially available to everyone,
it is,
then yeah, I'll-
yeah,
it's the deal that.
yeah. Because I think, you know, the Lions could hire this hall
For a candidate meeting,
and
could
they
they?
can't,
Yeah, no problem. And no problem at all.
yes.
Yeah, you can transfer that.
Okay. Speak to the boss. Yeah, no, right. Let's be practical.
Yeah.
I think you're paying for the use of the venue, then it's okay, it's
Yeah.
free or being donated.
So there's an example of a good sign. Circle, tick inside it, by your name. Authorization down the bottom, can be smaller than that. You can't have candidate, your competitors' names and nothing next to them or cross next to it. Because that's looking like an imitation voting paper and you're instructing people how to vote, which is against the legislation. I had someone do this a few years ago in Coventry. Everyone complained. Went to the police, they got prosecuted, didn't anti-vote. So please don't go down that path. Got a few photos from last time's campaigns that you might find entertaining. Mayor Michael, coming there at Corofino. Signed around his car, all good, got no authorization on the back of it. But where has he parked it? Right outside the council building, in the council car park.
So if you park out in the street, that's okay.
That's right. So Michael, no, can you move your car down the street, please? Oh, really? Yes. 100 metres down the street where anyone can park. Ended up on the front page of the paper. Didn't go too well. That's the council building there beside the logo was sort of almost right there. Brady Dyer, Hutt City. Sign of a man holding a sign. Here he is. Quite a name, got a legal man holding a sign. Good idea. Remember that?
Yeah. They want to do
Do my best, but I can't.
Yeah.
So, Mark was
It's
not
not
a
bad.
candidate,
It's not bad.
not a candidate. This was a total, the council thought it was a joke, left it out. Yeah, they quite like it. So it came viral. Is what it is. Not a candidate. Wasn't authorised. Didn't matter. And then on the first day of voting in Horofino, someone put that up. Slightly offensive, but is what it is. The council pretty quickly took it down, as you'd expect. Yeah. Okay, we're nearly at a few slides about some compliance stuff. Electoral rolls. We'll have a prelim roll next week, which is printed out copy of electoral roll. Candidates can buy them, hard copy, not the option, can buy a hard copy. And then we have a final roll after closed nominations that we use to print the voting papers to. So the address isn't changed by the 12th of August. It goes to your old address. That's where it's going to go. So update the details if they've changed before the 12th of August. Questions about that?
Or they can purchase it.
Yep.
They purchased the roll from you.
from you.
From us.
From you. Like, yeah, it's, sometimes it doesn't have very often, but it does have.
Yeah.
Special vote, so no, you lose your voting paper, or you haven't changed your address, it's not in the wrong place. With the dogs in it, come in, on the application form, and get a special vote during the voting period at the council office. It'll be about, maybe 50, 60.
You got a question?
Brenda's got a question.
Brenda,
Hey Warwick, what about if you're out of the country at the time that the voting's going on? You might be on holiday.
yeah, I've got a whole lot of emails about this in the last few days. The general deal is that you can change your address on the Electoral Commission website and say you're going overseas, or you can tell Barbara you're going overseas and we'll change the address to send the voting papers to you. Depends on where you're going, right? If you're going to Australia and Pacific Islands, then change the address, send it to that address. If you had a static address, you'll probably get it in time to get it back. If you're going anywhere else, Asia, England, UK, US, the chance of getting it in time to get it back to us by the 8th of October would be highly remote, I would think. Particularly with all the changes in the supply chain over the last 3 years, and everything that's going on. International mail system is ground to a slow halt. I wouldn't think you'd have much chance. Can't do it electronically, can't scan it, can't email it, as much as I'd love to, against the legislation. Does that answer the question, Brendan? Not much of a help, but it is what it is. So we'll produce the results on Saturday to the council team and council CE, and probably these guys will get on the phone and give you a call. Personally contacted, around about 3 o'clock, we'll come out maybe a bit before. And then the next day we'll produce the preliminary result, because the one on Saturday won't include voting papers that are hand delivered into the council office on Saturday morning. This time around, we have done an initiative across the council to provide more ballot bins. And what I mean by ballot bins is that we have arranged a deal to provide councils with bright orange bins, same as your rubbish bin at home, but bright orange, to go in more locations around the country. So there's going to be a few in Masterford, Cardiff, and South Wales. And 3 or 4?
I've got 10 or 6.
6? Okay, 6.
Libraries.
Great.
Yeah.
More the merrier.
Exciting.
Yes.
And so you can put, you've got to put it in the post box or one of these bins. More on them, can you promote that? You put in any bin anywhere in the area, will have it at the same place. There's one at the Central Railway Station in Wellington, pop it in there. So there will be more of these things available, and we will do a campaign around that to raise the awareness of them. So look out for the bright orange. Blue or orange, same as the bright green. Okay. Then after that, elected members come into office. CD calls the inaugural meeting. Every council state is different. Do you know what yours is yet?
24th or 26th of October. We've already started to plan this, and my team are responsible for setting the meeting dates.
So the 26th, 24th is later day.
Okay, well, it's definitely not that day.
That's good.
So yeah, so we'll let all the candidates know, we'll have some information on our website, so, because there will also be production days, so these are the days that will need to be available to do some of these things. So we'll give you as much information as we possibly can, and as much advance as we possibly can.
Quite a big deal. Bit of pomp and ceremony, good fun to be part of. Friends and family can come on.
26th.
26th. Great fun. And here's all the documents that you can get. Very straightforward over there, council website. GW's website, if you're interested in GW. Great dramas. Last night. No online voting. Love to, can't, maybe one day, probably not. Election day, Saturday, 8th of October. That's it, so where we go. Thanks. About now,
Just sit together.
Yeah.
any questions? Anything else you want to know? Remember, as Amanda said, we're all here to help as much as we can. Please don't hesitate to sing out. Put me a text or an email, anything you want to know.
Just a little bit on the pre-election report. So that report is designed for candidates to do their due diligence. So it's basically a document that gives you a picture of what the financial position is of the organisation, what our key projects are and how we're performing. So it's a really important document. We've also got our annual plan that's about to be seen now, thank you.
In the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so our annual plan will come out before the festival, and that'll be available on our website. And we'll put social media as well. So that's just a good document so that you know coming in well informed, basically.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Warren.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone online.
Thank you.
Yeah. Warwick.
I'm making a call to the rest of the sorry. And it's information that you feel like.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Amanda.
No worries.
I have a very specific question. I have a quick.
I'm still here, Amanda. Don't worry. I just didn't have my camera on.